Atelier Ray Clark. Ray Clark.
Vicky Grubb.
Atelier Ray Clark. Ray Clark.
C'est ton desk. Assieds-toi là-dessus. C'est ton desk. C'est ton desk.
Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, welcome to the Sit on This podcast with myself, Ray Clark, and Vicky Grubb, the lovely Vicky Grubb. How you doing, Vicky?
Yeah, I'm good.
Today's guests, ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, some of you may already know, particularly if you've been following the conversation around fire regulations, sustainability, and what's actually inside the furniture that we all work on every day. Delyth Fetherston-Dilke. Did I say it right?
You said it right. It's quite a challenge.
It is, isn't it? It's quite a mouthful.
It is quite a nightmare of a name, really.
So I'll just call you DFD.
Yeah.
Sure. Delyth Fetherston-Dilke is an upholsterer, educator and long-time campaigner who's become the leading voice challenging outdated UK fire regulations, particularly around the use of chemical flame retardants and the wider impact they have on upholsterers, consumers and the environment. Would that be fair to say?
Yep.
Yeah. Delyth, welcome to the Sit on This podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's all right.
So, Delyth, I think everybody would like to know a little bit about how you came into upholstery and then also how you became the kind of spokesperson for some of the issues that are going on in our industry at the moment. Tell us about your background.
Yeah, okay. Well, yes, I was a lawyer for a firm called Fred Chumley, and one of their clients was Warner Brothers. And after I'd been there about 5 years, Warner Brothers asked me to come over and work for them. And so I spent the next 14 years as a film lawyer.
Film lawyer.
Which was fun.
Is that for like
fun.
movies and stuff, like actually?
Yeah, Harry Potter and ER and Friends and TV series. It was everything Warner produced. We sold it to television. So I was part of a lovely team, went all over the world and sold some amazing products. And then it was great. And then I think my kids were 6 and 4 at that stage. And I just went, oh gosh, this is a bit much. I literally am struggling. And
Just what with all the travel, the late working hours, I'm guessing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just juggling
And life
it all.
wasn't quite so compatible with kids back then.
No.
And so I stopped. And then about 2 years later, wanted to redecorate the house and didn't have any money. And so went on a course, did a course with J.M. Milton. And then...
Oh, is that where you trained, J.M.
I
Milton?
did 3 days. I thought I'd learn upholstery in 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
It's a common theme.
Clearly.
from a more strategic point
all
of
I
view.
learned was I know nothing.
Yeah.
And then I did London Met. I think I was a couple of years behind you
Yeah.
at London Met.
After me? Or
Yeah, after you.
Yeah.
And then
So you trained with Malcolm Hopkins? And,
a little bit with Malcolm, mostly with Franco.
Okay.
And with Matt Gates.
Oh, Matthew Gates.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Oh, they were great.
Legends.
I know. And then I realised that every frame I stripped down, the woodwork was broken. So I did a carpentry course at London Met. And I was working right the way through this period. And then Gareth at the British School and Greg were offering a course in...
That's Gareth Rees.
Yeah, in furniture design. So I did it's supposed to be a year, but ended up being 2 because of COVID.
Right.
And that was amazing. That was like designing a piece of furniture from the start and looking at all the materials. And that comes on to the second question, which is how I got involved in chemicals. I'd been aware right the way from when we learn about fire safety at London Met. And you go, what is this?
Yeah.
What you have to buy different products that say FR on them. And
I didn't question it at the time. I was just like happy to be there. I should have, but it's cool.
And I questioned it back then. So even like 12 years ago and started Googling about it. But it was on that course with Gareth that I became obsessed with it. And it was obsession. I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
I just read everything I could get my hands on. I'd go to a coffee shop and sit there and 12 hours later still be reading obscure, statements by BIFMA in America that were being
BIFMA.
that's the Furniture Manufacturers Association in America.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And
So it's broadened your
fair enough.
whole awareness as to like the whole furniture industry across the globe.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
So I'm guessing with that, were you at that time when you first started out in upholstery, were you using foam? Were you using lots of different materials, like compared to now? Have you kind of changed the way that you upholster through that
so
knowledge?
I used foam in year 2 of London Met, and even back then I was realising that I didn't want to be associated with the chemicals in it. So I haven't really used it since. I've used it literally 3 times.
3? What? You can count.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
In about 12
I
years.
noticed when you were talking about foam, your face screwed up there. Like you're just.
To be fair,
really...
I really like. I sit on the British Standards Committee on Fire Safety, and I sit on it, with representatives of foam companies, and they're lovely. Their hands are tied. It's not their hands are tied by the legislation that says that a piece of foam on its own has to be tested with a little bonfire in the middle, a little bonfire of matchsticks.
So for those who don't really realise what the FR is all about, because obviously as upholsterers we're told that you have to use an insuliner, you have to do this, but as you say, unless you actually go and do a deep dive into what's in these materials, you don't actually know, do you? But it's around a flame test, isn't it? The whole point of it. It's not actually, the regulation isn't saying you have to add loads of chemicals to things.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, completely right. So there are regulations at the moment. I mean, I could try and summarise them in a minute,
Please.
but flipping heck, they're
speak
so
to me like you're
complicated.
speaking to a 6-year-old child or something.
Okay.
Isn't that what they say? Yeah.
Okay. So foam on its own is tested with this little box of matchsticks called Crib 5.
Yeah.
And it's lit. It's got sort of alcohol put on it.
Okay.
To make it really flammable.
These are under like laboratory conditions?
Yeah, in a box, in a metal box.
Is there a vacuum or is there
screen.
like
There's a regulated amount of air going in. It's all regulated. It's all written in the standards how this foam is tested.
Okay.
And you light the Crib 5 and it creates a sort of, 7-inch flame going upwards. It's a huge flame it creates. And that foam, which is sitting in an L shape, so as if it's an inside back and a seat, has to withstand that enormous flame.
Right.
And it can't, because foam essentially is polyols and isocyanates. And they're quite flammable.
Petrochemical.
So foam it's an amazing product. It's squashy, it carries on being squashy, it's easy to work with.
You mop things up with it.
It's amazing in many, many ways. And the one way it's not amazing is that it's a little bit flammable. And that is why these chemicals added to pass this Crib 5 test.
You can get like Crib 5, and I'm not 6 years old. You can get Crib 5, Crib 7.
Yeah, but the higher cribs are for prisons and psychiatric wards and
public seating environments.
No, public seating is normally a Crib 5. Right. So that's the foam bit.
Right.
But you've also got the fabric tested.
Okay.
And the fabric is tested to cigarette and match.
Right.
And that's when we get our BS 5852, 0 and 1. So
it's like a double whammy, isn't it, of chemicals being...
Yeah. So the fabric, to pass the cigarette, they lay a cigarette on it and leave it there. And it burns. And it's a special cigarette that will carry on burning, that they have to ship off.
What do you mean a special cigarette? Like, it's not just a standard...
No, because a standard cigarette is now got reduced ignition propensity, which will stop it. In theory, it should stop it burning if it's not being puffed to stop fires. But the one that they use in testing is a cigarette that is intended to carry on burning so that it makes the fabric more flame
just
resistant.
you saying that, it's archaic, isn't it? Because people aren't really smoking anymore, and they're certainly not smoking indoors either. So it's...
Well, I think we're 33, what is it? So I think 33% of us smoked back when these fire regs were invented.
Yeah.
And we're around the 12% now. But of those, 100% used to smoke indoors.
Yeah.
And now we're more like 20% smoke indoors. However, to be clear, the new government proposal is that we keep the cigarette test.
Right.
So we keep we acknowledge that cigarettes are still the single biggest cause of a furniture fire death, which is a surprise.
It is really, because when you look at the stats for actually what causes fires, it's kitchen.
They don't cause deaths, though. So kitchen fires is one of the biggest
kitchen
causes of
fires,
fires.
electrical fires. But the actual furniture, so you're saying that furniture fires, actually cause, they actually have statistics that show what furniture fires cause deaths.
The statistic, there are those statistics, yes. And I have spent absolutely years studying them and going right back to the raw statistics on it, because I didn't want to. It felt a bit of a scary voice talking of this years ago, and I didn't want to be doing anything that was irresponsible. And what is the most compelling statistic is that the World Health Organization has created fire fatality statistics right the way across Europe. So every country in Europe, it's worked out what the fire fatalities are. And in the UK, we're looking at fire fatalities per year of around the 220-ish mark.
220,000?
No, people.
People.
Total.
A year?
Yeah.
Fatalities.
That's just so tiny, isn't it? I mean, I'm not dismissing, obviously a death is a tragedy,
horrific.
But
it's not as many as I think people fear. Now, the position that the flame retardant companies take is that number is so low because flame retardants are added.
Right.
And certainly that number used to be higher. It used to be more in the 790 deaths per year.
But then more
30
people
years ago.
But more people were smoking.
But more people were smoking.
Yeah.
They didn't have... We've got 93% smoke alarms now.
Yeah.
It was 8% back in 1988. And smoke alarms are amazing.
Delyth, what is wrong with the current regulations?
Okay, what is wrong with the current regulations is the open flame source. It's the fact that a Bunsen burner is put against your sofa and are held there.
Right.
And that is what's wrong with the regulations.
The test is wrong.
The test is wrong because that test is not there in America, it's not there in Europe, it's not there in the rest of the world. And that
Why
means...
have we got it here?
We've got it here because it was put in 1988 and...
After that fire in Woolworths.
After the fire in Woolworths in Manchester. And the fire was started by a cigarette. And so what the government have now moved, I think, is really sensible position. It's to say, even though less of us smoke, even though we've got smoke alarms, let's still protect against that cigarette, which is still a relevant cause. And so we're going to have a choice. Either we test the composite, that means...
Like the whole piece of furniture.
It would be a representative sample.
Right. Including the wood, including the frame.
No, but actually, I can't actually say that bit because that bit will be determined by British standards.
Okay, we can cut that
and we're
out.
not
We can
there
cut it
yet.
out.
No, I'm happy to say that.
All right, I see.
But we've from the guidance we've got from the government so far, it looks like a representative sample would be tested. So imagine, a dining seat size slab of what you're going to build. And so if you're someone really big, like IKEA, for example, you would test that slab and that would be the way you'll grow. But if you're a bespoke manufacturer of one-off headboards, each one being completely original, you may prefer that each individual layer is tested and you just buy the layers and then you put them together how you want to.
Right.
And the government's going to give you the choice. So there are three big questions that they're asking us to say yes to, which is the kind of crunch.
Consultation is out right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's due, the deadline for it is in June.
23rd of June.
Yeah.
And
Day before Mum's birthday.
You won't forget it.
And what the government is wanting is for people to give the answers to these three, they're expressed as 4 questions. And if they've got anything new to say, any bit of relevant information, you can add that, but you don't need to. You can just answer your questions. It's a really well thought through consultation. And my answers to share were yes, 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 and yes. So it's, yes, I would like you to move to a cigarette test and to ditch the Bunsen burner.
Right.
Yes, I would like us to have the flexibility to choose whether to test a mock-up composite or to test individual layers. Yes, I would like upholstery to be treated under the general product safety regulations. And yes, I would like second-hand furniture to be treated under the general product safety regulations. And the dog is trying to bury herself under the table.
I know I might seem a little bit distracted. We have got dogs underneath us.
Yes, who
there's
are burying
Bertie
for Australia.
and Bertie and Toffee, who are really kicking up a storm under there.
The regulations, they changed, didn't they? A couple of years ago where they started to take out certain things to do with babies and cots. And things like that.
Absolutely.
So that was like the starting point to it. Do you think this goes far enough, this change that you see sort of developing?
I do. I think they've got more work to do because we need labelling and we need mattresses to be included. However, I'm sure that labelling and mattresses are things they're going to be working on right this minute.
Yeah.
And that when they've reviewed the consultation responses, they will then come out with their final proposal. And at that point, I would hope that labelling and mattresses are also included. Mattresses, because I think it's 6.4 million mattresses go to landfill every year. And if we think, I mean, we've kind of on this, because you two have read so much, and I honestly don't know what I'm talking about. I've been talking so much the last few weeks. I haven't really gone into what my objection is to the use of these chemicals.
Yeah.
But my objection is three things.
Yeah.
So the chemicals are persistent.
That means they're lifelong.
Correct. They can last a long time. Now that can be 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, or several lifetimes.
You know what? I feel like, I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the box at the best of times, but I feel like I might have lost a few IQ points just from handling FR chemicals. How can I test this? How do I find out if I,
They're doing this in Bentham, aren't they, with the PFAS? So lots of people, I think, confuse. There's a lot in the news at the moment about PFAS, which are completely different to chemical flame retardants. They're a different group of chemicals that think of a Teflon pan or think of waterproof mascara.
Yeah.
But Teflon has been outlawed now. It's now Xylon they're using. Is
Well,
that right?
there's...
I know on certain shears they use Xylon instead of Teflon, remember?
Oh, yes, yeah. The white shears.
There was literally in the newspaper here in the UK. I mean, America's ahead of us on this. There was an amazing film with Mark Ruffalo called Dark Waters.
I haven't seen that yet. I
Oh,
want to
it's
see
so
that.
good. It's so good. He's a lawyer and he's deep diving into why people working in the Teflon plant are getting ill.
Can we
really?
put a link to that?
And he's being attacked by the chemical companies and he's nevertheless carrying on fighting and sitting in a room with paper up to here. And interestingly, Mark Ruffalo, who worked on that film, worked with Phaedra, who are an environmental charity in Scotland, who I take my hat off to because they have been so helpful to me. And the Times was very nice saying, oh, Delyth, you've done this campaign on your own. It's not on my own.
Well,
there are absolute host of other people who are embedded in this and
scientists
pushing it forward,
who've been so willing to share. And Phaedra is one of those people. And then the Cancer Prevention Society.
But there's a difference between I've got an opinion about it, but there's a difference between actually pushing it forward like you have, So that's...
What's your opinion about it?
my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sceptical actually about how the industry says that fire retardants that are needed for furniture because they, otherwise it's our safety is at jeopardy. I'm sceptical of that. I'd love
to talk on that point. Can you hold the rest of the skeptical for a second and let's address... No.
Oh, I thought you were about to dive off.
No, that was me being a bit passionate.
No, we want that.
Okay, this was another of the deep dives I've done.
Yeah.
And initially, I read a paper that was produced, a scientific study that was produced by a guy called Blaze in America. And in it talks about the 16-minute delay that these chemicals can give in the event of accidental ignition of a sofa.
16
minutes.
Wow. That's
and I was like, oh, wow, that's quite a big amount of delay.
Yeah.
But then who sponsored that study? Who paid for it?
Yeah.
So then the more I looked into it, you find, it's paid for by, I'm going to name the trade body now, but it's something like the American Association of Flame Retardant Chemical Companies.
Right.
So basically they're skewing
They're totally skewing it. Now, there then was another study by a gentleman called Vito Brabauskas that criticised this study. But the problem is that a smoke alarm is what you want. You want the smoke alarm to go off. Now, if you're dropping a cigarette and there's a 2-minute delay to ignition, that's not helping you because it's a delay to the smoke alarm going off. And they have two real concerns, I think. One concern is, how is it that the fire stats analysed by the World Health Organization are the same across Europe? How can we have the same number of fire fatalities as France, as Sweden, as Italy, as Germany, as Portugal, as Spain, as everywhere?
That doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense when they have
different
no
regulations,
chemicals. No chemicals, and we have the chemicals. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
And then the second big thing is that when there is a fire, which there always will be, the chemicals do not purport to stop a fire, they purport to delay ignition. When there is a fire, the presence of chemical flame retardants
makes it even more
exacerbate the smoke.
Yeah.
So hydrogen cyanide and carbon monoxide are given off burning foam and burning FR-treated fabric. And those disable a victim to stop them being able to exit a fire. They also can
Smoke
obscure,
kills, they say.
Well, it used to be that burns killed pre-1988, and it's moved. If you look at the fire fatalities, it's moved from burns killing to smoke killing. Now, flame retardants are not the only thing responsible for that.
No.
It's also plastic toys and PVC windows and polyester carpets.
Yeah.
But if you think of one sofa, 2 armchairs, 4 double mattresses.
Yeah, the majority of the furniture in your home.
If you think of a small 2-up, 2-down house, that is a lot,
or even a
big
one-bedroom flat.
proportion of the volume of the home that is, and it's
Doused in
1/5 of a sofa. So I think 80% of the sofa is sofa.
Yeah,
20% of the sofa is chemicals.
Do you want to know what
that's incredible. So just repeat that.
80% of your sofa is sofa.
Right, okay. 80.
And 20%
20% is chemical flame retardants.
20%?
I don't think the general public don't know that, do they? They really don't know that.
Now.
They know thanks to Martina's article in the Sunday Times.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But, today I I arranged to meet a friend who is from Kingston because I used to live there. and I said that I was seeing you, and she said, what's that about? So I was just giving her a little description. And she immediately went to safety. Oh, yes, but safety, a fire, in a home, it's got to have chemicals in it because of the safety. People don't know. The general public don't know the danger.
Or they're convinced of a certain...
opposite theory. It's not the opposite theory, but the actual truth behind.
What I'd like to do is I'd like us to look to fact, to logic and to science. What I would not like us to look to do is to look to emotion and to history.
And conjecture,
And what I find is that the people who are challenging the position I take, they talk emotion, they talk history. So they talk the Woolworths fire, they talk the emotion of the death of somebody in a fire, which is horrific. And in no part is what I want to put forward that should be diminished.
No, absolutely.
And I do think that when 45 to 75% of fires are caused by a cigarette, then continuing with a mandated cigarette test is a really pertinent, sensible way forward. And if you look at the literally thousands of studies linking chemical flame retardants to autoimmune issues, to cancer, to developmental issues in children, to infertility.
Yeah.
It's not 1 or 2 studies.
No.
It's 1 or 2,000 studies.
It's a body of evidence,
It's
which
a
is
huge body of evidence.
We were at the Furniture Component Show last month.
Yeah.
And we spoke to a couple of manufacturers and learned a lot about foam.
We spoke to loads
actually.
of manufacturers.
We spoke to lots, but in our podcast we spoke to a couple, didn't we?
Yes.
And one was foam converter, and I learned a lot about foam in that conversation.
Yeah, and the other one
and
was...
the other one was
Tokyo
Fabrics, who are a international...
They
fabric
import
distributor.
2 million meters of fabric into the UK every year.
But most
and a large
importantly,
proportion of that uses FR chemicals.
but they are the biggest.
They are the biggest.
COSA. Everything goes to them. Their factories, basically.
Yes.
So in the podcast, they talked about how if we take FR off fabrics from a manufacturing point of view, it's going to stop manufacturing, not completely stop, but it's going to reduce manufacturing massively in the British, in Britain, and there's going to be a huge amount of imports coming in from China, and so it was reducing FR on fabrics was going to impact British manufacturing.
Okay, so I'm just going to read, not the whole thing, so the last bits of the public statement that they released on social media.
Yeah, about the FR
about
regulations.
the regulations. We continuously evolve our products, incorporating the latest advancements in fabric technology, chemical back-coating processes and formulations to ensure optimal performance. These proposed changes will result in a greater number of fires, as well as fires that are more severe and harder to control, putting lives at significantly increased risk and leading to more injuries and deaths in people's homes. This is an unacceptable consequence of weakening safety standards. We are unequivocally opposed to any legislative changes that compromise product safety and will continue to challenge them at every stage, insisting that protecting human life must come before all other considerations.
So
if this legislation was to go through, we ask the question, whose names are responsible for having blood on their hands? Regards, Team Tokyo. Having listened to that spiel there, what would be your response?
So my response is that my main aim is protecting human life. And that's something they've just mentioned. And the logic and the science shows that protecting a human from sitting on a sofa that puffs out chemical flame retardants that are toxic to human health, that will pass through breast milk, that will cross the placenta, that will alter how and organs of a small child develop, is the most important way to protect human life. And if you look at the quantity of fire deaths and you look at the quantity of children we have in the UK, the quantity of pregnant mothers, the quantity of workers in the furniture industry who are exposed to these chemicals, the quantity of workers in the upholstery industry, the numbers do not tally up. It is always like a seesaw. You're balancing fire safety against protecting human life in chemical exposure. And you cannot let the emotion and the history on fire safety outweigh the facts and the science on the numbers of people exposed, the numbers of people at risk, and the numbers of people dying in every single other European country who do not have to be subjected to the chemical exposure levels. That's my answer to Tokyo Fabrics.
Sit on this.
Ray, I've got a confession to make. I once dated a tool.
Now, are we talking heartbreak or hardware?
Staple gun, my BEA. Honestly, it's been more reliable than most people I've ever worked with.
Oh, totally. Mine's taking a beating over the years. Still fires like day one. No jams, no weird noises, just solid work.
I use 71 Series 421 staple gun most days. But I've also got the long nose 436 for those awkward bits. You just know it's going to deliver clean staples every time.
And it doesn't wear arm out either, especially when you're working on a big frame or doing repeat jobs.
Powerful, reliable, and never goes to me mid-project. Legendary and dependable.
Bit like me, really.
Only difference is my BEA doesn't moan when I drop it.
Are we still talking about tools here? I've got feelings, you know.
So if you're tired of unreliable tools and dodgy knockoff staple guns and want to upgrade your kit, now's the time.
Head to the link in the show notes and you'll get 10% off your first purchase on guns and staples using the code SITONTHIS10.
BEA staple guns. Powerful, precise, and honestly a lot easier to live with than some of the tools I've known.
Staple smart, sit on that.
As I say, I am sceptical of the way that the manufacturing industry as a whole comments around safety side of things, because my personal opinion, and which I was going to mention earlier, is that that actually what will happen is innovation will actually take over.
These fabric companies and these furniture companies are run by clever people who will adapt.
Yeah,
When cars had to have lead removed, they adapted.
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
builders had to remove asbestos, they adapted.
Yeah.
Now, furniture companies are going to have to adapt and
They
know
are.
they cannot put the whole nation's health at risk to protect their market share, which is what has been happening. Yes, they're right, that has been happening, but that is not just and it is not fair and it is not going to continue.
It's absolutely, and it's trying to continue just because of the status quo, isn't it? It's basically because it's always been like that, and it's easier not to change.
I admit it's a challenge for them, and the challenge that I'm being telephoned about at the moment is a challenge, which is that the Sunday Times article came slightly out of the blue. I mean, I first spoke to Martina 2 years ago, and she's spent an inordinate amount of time researching this, going to Sweden to meet IKEA, going up to Lancashire to meet the Department of Fire Science. She did a lot of research before putting such a bold article out
I
there.
thought it was a brilliant piece of investigative journalism.
Yeah.
It was.
It was really, really strong.
It really was.
Delyth, this has been like an absolutely like terrifying but fascinating, but also hopefully optimistic like conversation. What are your top 3, 5,
7,
9?
9.
I don't know, tips. What are your tips for the general public in terms of how to...
Okay, first of all, sign this consultation. We have not got the change through yet, and we need this change. It's not tricky. If you just Google the words proposal furniture fire safety, it will pop up on your screen. There are 4 questions. I'd answer yes to all of them. That's the first tip. The second, directed at furniture workers and upholsterers, is number 1, open your windows. However cold you get, open your windows.
I don't have a problem opening windows, but they're over 6 feet high. I've got
Open them. Open them. That is because these chemicals are volatile. That means that they will be leaving the foam
Yes.
all the time. They're not chemically bound into the foam.
Oh, right.
And TCPP is one of the chemicals. And it was only 3 weeks ago now that the World Health Organization has named TCPP as a probable carcinogen. So ideally, you'd put your foam in an ideal world in a ply box or in another room. And ideally, you would open up your back-coated fabric when it arrived, take it out of the plastic so it can off-gas. And ideally, that would be happening in another room with windows open. You've got to think of all of these chemically treated things. They off-gas, meaning they give off the chemicals.
Sure.
And you don't want to be breathing that in, and you don't want them to permeate your skin.
I need to go and get my bloods done.
So
I think
just
I'm
let them
way
off gas
exposed.
where you are not, or open your windows hours early. So that's your first one. They're attracted to fats, so they will attract to the dust on the floor because the dust is full of fats, skin. And so hoover. Not a great idea to brush, hoover, because brushing just makes them come up into the air
Vacuum all
again.
up, yeah.
So hoover, wet mop. And keeping your windows open. Wear those latex gloves. The 2 main times when the chemicals are going to come out a lot is when a piece of furniture is old and the foam's dust. That's really bad. Be covered up. Have overalls that you work in the workshop. Take them off when you come out of the workshop. Just get into that discipline. Put up a hook by the door.
I do.
So put a mask on if you're going to be stripping down, a mask and an overcoat, and then hoover and mop and then move on. It is taking more time. It is taking more discipline, and hopefully
time equals cost as well.
Time equals cost as well.
So there's a hidden cost to actually...
There really is a hidden cost, and it's not very hidden. It's really quite a major cost to us.
What about, like, in terms of my health? I feel like you're speaking directly to me, but you kind of are, but you're not. You're speaking to the general public, obviously. But what about my health? What about upholsterers' health? Those upholsterers who've been on the bench for 10, 20, 30 years, and they're only just hearing about all of this now.
I know.
What kind of physical things should we be doing?
Tell if you have an issue, whether it's a respiratory issue, a fertility issue, a cancer issue, a child with developmental issues issue, then do tell your doctor. Tell your GP that you're an upholsterer because you are in a high risk trade. They need to know that because
do they consider it?
I don't know if they do because I speak
it will
to
go into a database.
I tell my GP that I do upholstery. Oh, well, that's nice. I've got a sofa at home. That's the first thing they say. They don't consider the health implications in
Public Health England have. I've been in contact with Public Health England a couple of years ago now, but they have just issued guidance for upholsterers, which says keep your foam in a separate room, unwrap your fabrics when they arrive, let them off gas when you're not there.
I mean, all of these things I do not do. I don't do any of them. I don't. I need to start thinking about this differently.
And the other point that I wanted to get across was that I do appreciate that if I was currently a furniture manufacturer with 50 employees, this is a difficult time.
Yeah.
You've got employees saying, what about the front page of the Times? Are you responsible for making me sick?
Right.
Yeah.
Is this a sickness I'm not going to see for 10, 20 years?
Yeah. It could be...
I'm not underestimating that is a really difficult time. And that doesn't mean that you shoot the messenger. I'm trying to make a change that means in 9 months or so time, we will be in a better position where furniture manufacturers will not be feeling that they're exposing workers. And right now, having extraction systems put in is a really good idea. It's all about ventilation.
Right.
That's
it's still going
key.
into the atmosphere.
And the other issue is that this is an opportunity because there might be an awful lot of people who are now thinking, okay, well, I would like a healthier sofa. So this could be seen as a market opportunity. And I work with a few furniture companies who've decided to transition away from a petrochemical filling into a natural fibre filling.
So no foam, no polyester, no Dacron.
Correct. A completely natural solution, but not in a traditional upholstery stuffed and stitched manner, in a modern solution.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is well, I'm really enjoying helping furniture manufacturers that challenge.
From a teacher, I just wanted to say, from a teacher point of view, it's something that obviously we talk about health and safety, like, don't point the staple gun into your leg, stuff like that,
Well, that's fine compared to breathing in the chemicals,
Well, I think this is the thing, like, to actually, in the whole concept of a setup of a workshop, like, maybe should be like an actual written,
build your ply box.
Yeah, this is exactly how you need to be doing this. But, actually the first thing needs to come from me because I need to set the example too. It's going into teaching Amy stuff this September,
I know, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
congratulations.
very exciting.
We're very far, I think it's definitely going to have to be on my agenda, like when we're talking about workshop setup and things, but also I'm going to need to show by example as well. Yeah.
Having said that, this is the other thing. Have you got like little samples of sustainable materials that you recommend that upholsterers could use? Have you got any knocking around?
Yeah, they're not knocking around. They're all wrapped up upstairs. But yes, I've just basically spent, I don't know, 10 years, 11, 12 years just figuring out who sells what.
I
And
was just
in what manner? Oh, and that was something else I wanted to raise, which is when you're buying stuff, ask questions. And when you get no answer, which is what you will get, ask again and ask again and ask again. You want to ask, can I have the safety data sheet? Is it treated with chemical flame retardants? And a big one that I notice on Instagram that I think lots of people are maybe not aware of is that most of the rubberized hair we buy is treated with chemical flame retardants. And most of the loose coir we buy.
I saw that. And who was it? Was it White Barn?
It was Nadia at White Barn. She spoke about that very well.
And I actually went and I asked my local supplier, and they went, "Oh no, I don't think they are." They had no idea.
I know, and unless
then I opened it up, and all the little bits flew out.
The white bits
flew out the bag,
and the white bits are super dangerous because.
And you're literally scrunching that coir, aren't you? And you're you're taking it apart and you're rolling it. I mean,
and all the rubberized hair sheets that are green,
right,
as opposed to grey or orangey or browny, all the ones that have got green tinge are treated with chemical flame retardants. Right. And there's a big amongst the people who don't have the same view as me, which are the polyester fabric manufacturers and the chemical flame retardant companies and the testing houses, possibly some of them. There is a big greenwash around organophosphate flame retardants. So just talking the chemicals for a moment, historically we used to backcoat fabrics, and that would mean putting a brominated or chlorinated hydrocarbon on the back.
Yeah.
Now, the reason you put brominated or chlorinated hydrocarbon is because it does not dissolve in water. It's not water soluble. And the brominated are so clearly under attack as persistent organic pollutants, although every time one gets named as a persistent organic pollutant, the chemical manufacturers come up with a regrettable substitution, which means a chemical that's distressingly similar.
So it's just rebranding.
Well, it's not just rebranding. They are changing the molecular makeup, but only with a
Tiny.
time. For example, you've got, at the moment, most of the backcoating is decabromodiphenyl ethane, but previously you had hepta and you had penta and they've all got banned. So they just add one.
So if I went and got my bloods done, those chemicals that you've just mentioned would appear in my blood?
I don't know, because some pass through urine.
Right.
Some will remain in your fat cells, so wouldn't necessarily.
In my liver or in my kidneys.
Some will be shown in blood and some will be shown in hair, and it will depend upon the chemical. Now, the chemicals going into foam are TCPP and melamine, and the chemicals going into fabric are decabromodiphenyl ethane or another variant in backcoating. But then you have the thing that I think is another massive greenwash, which is the word inherently flame retardant fabric.
Yeah.
So just to explain what that is.
Like viscose are you talking about natural fabric then? No, what are you talking about? Oh my God.
So when you're buying a polyester, you often see the word, this is inherently FR and passes cigarette and match.
Does that mean
that's what I thought
viscose
viscose was.
It's treated in the weave rather than a bath? Or
Correct.
Right.
So what it is it's where the polyester, when it's in liquid form, is treated with the chemical flame retardants, which then don't need to be the brominated type because they are chemically bound into the polyester.
Into the weave.
And so then it's extruded as a filament, and then that filament is woven. Now, that is what is being sold as an eco-textile.
I was going to say, I thought, inheriting, that must be natural, that must be...
Everyone thinks that,
okay.
and it is not the truth.
Right.
The truth is that the chemical flame retardant is embedded. Now, whether that gives off as much of the chemicals in off-gassing, possibly less. I do believe it will still give off chemicals by abrasion, and we sit on sofas. At end of life, meaning when you don't want that sofa anymore, the chemicals cannot be separated from the fabric. So you've rendered your sofa as a sofa that requires incineration along with hospital waste at 800 degrees as toxic. So
I think
although I see where they were going with the inherent fibres
Yeah.
to try to solve the brominated problem, I think they've created another problem. And I think it is a problem that we're not being told the full picture on.
No, I definitely wasn't until this conversation.
Yeah, and I feel that's...
Oh, yeah, that is interesting. And I think also that leads quite naturally into the conversation around the life cycle, because we talk a lot about FR and having an impact on us as upholsterers and the people actually buying the sofa and putting them in the home. But I think people forget that they have to end up somewhere as well. And they're actually ending up in landfill.
Well,
and then
well, this is the tricky
or
point.
being incinerated.
It's the incineration. So DEFRA, for many years, it was almost like DEFRA and Department of Business and Trade was sort of not seeing eye to eye, let's say.
Oh, okay.
Because DEFRA brought out the waste upholstered domestic seating regulations, the WUDs. And they said that every sofa that contained a POP, which is a banned flame retardant, has to go to be incinerated. So they said that, what was it, December 22, I think, so quite some years ago.
Yes, yeah.
So since then, when you go to your dump,
Yeah.
you will see
separated.
a separate skip. And if you notice, all the sofas go in there. And the reason all the sofas go in there is it's very difficult to tell whether the chemicals in that sofa are the banned ones or the ones that are not quite yet banned.
Right.
So what they have is they have an XRF machine which measures whether, it assesses whether there's a brominated flame retardant in that sofa. And if there is, they decide it has to go for incineration. So all the comments about our sofas going to landfill, our mattresses are going to landfill, but our sofas are going to be incinerated at a humongous cost to the councils, which varies from, I think it's £12 or £20 to £500 per sofa to incinerate it.
Gosh.
And some of them were only purchased for £300.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've put
Born a
a
credit
really intolerable burden on the councils. And part of what these new regulations will effectively do is allow for a circular economy in furniture where there currently isn't one.
So that's one part of the proposed changes that, I mean, is, from the sounds of it, sounds really positive.
Yeah.
Are there any other parts of the proposed changes that
are positive?
That excite you at all?
Yeah, I mean, it all excites me because it's going to allow a manufacturer or an upholsterer or a bespoke one-off pieces manufacturer, upholsterer, to design out the chemicals if they wish to. It allows us to have flexibility, whereas now we have no flexibility.
No.
If you use foam, the chemicals are there.
Right.
And you can, and I do, and that's what I'm, working with my clients on, is if you're using natural fibres, you can design out the chemical flame retardants now and pass the fire regs, but it is difficult.
Yeah.
And they are going to make that process more accessible. So yes, I am excited. But on that inherent point and on that green sheets of rubberized hair, we need the labelling. And on the XRF machines, we need the labelling so that the waste disposal people know what to do.
Yeah.
So that upholsterers know what they're buying. So that furniture manufacturers can give out the correct information in their digital product passports, which are going to come along, as to what's in the product.
Whoa. Someone say digital passports.
There's going to, in Europe, they are further ahead than us, but there is going to be a time and a place where there will be, you'll be able to scan the label of what you buy and find out its ingredients.
Like its source.
Yep.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's
And
amazing.
that will help with end-of-life disposal, but it will also help with consumer-led movement towards a circular economy.
Because I think, like with anything, if it's labelled, it's a bit like calories, isn't it? When you go into a supermarket, it does make you make a better decision, doesn't it, on things? So I think that's half of my problem with this. Is I my background is a huge environmental impact. I was doing environmental impact assessments, before I was an upholsterer, right?
Okay.
So, obviously environmental issues are quite important to me, but I find myself like with foam, I've just sort of carried it on, because at the end of the day, it was what was given, it was what was shown. So we'll just use that. I didn't really think about the consequence when we were doing the component show the other day, and the foam supplier converter was saying about how they're using plastic bottles and recycling into their wadding and things like that. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. It's recycling something that we're not using anymore. But then I walked away thinking, well, hold on a minute. What's the life cycle of that? Because okay, you're using something to create something, which is
those plastic bottles should be recycled into plastic bottles, not taken out and put into sofas.
Well, that's it.
We need that source of waste plastic bottles to supply the huge demand for recycling plastic bottles.
Right.
That's what makes a product to be
circular.
Sustainable. It needs to be circular. You don't need to be downcycling things. And at the moment, polyester.
Upcycling things.
No, upcycling, that you can do that. That's great. that's what we do.
Fine.
We like that.
Okay.
But for example, at the moment, the polyester fabric that's inherently FR, meaning it's got the chemicals embedded, that technically is not capable of recycling into more high-grade upholstery fabric. That's not technically possible. And the foam that we make, it is not technically possible to recycle that chemically. You can take your offcuts, mechanically chop them up,
Yes.
and they can be turned into carpet underlay,
Recon. Recon, yeah.
But that is virgin foam waste that is downcycled. It's not being
Right, yeah.
And so we're also in the UK missing out on the circular economy in foam, because in France they've got a Dow Chemicals plant that is taking foam and recycling it into new foam. And we're losing all those investments.
I had no idea.
We can't do that. We can't
we
do it
won't
because
do
of the
that. We
chemicals.
can, but we won't.
Well, we can't. You can't, because when you try to break down the polyols and the isocyanates in the foam, the chemical flame retardants will exacerbate that breakdown process. They will interfere, because they'll be released into the atmosphere when that's happening. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Delyth, you've been practicing your craft, this beautiful craft, which we all share, for 12 years?
About that.
10 years from now, assuming all things considered, you're still practicing the beautiful craft, what would you like to see change in this industry? What in 10 years from now, can you imagine?
My mission has been made to make furniture healthy. And I have felt that we're on a way to realising the problems with clothing, with food, but why was furniture left out? And it's to build awareness that you can build healthy furniture. You can look to natural, renewable sources to build your furniture. You can use resources that have not got a pathway elsewhere. And you can build beautiful furniture. You can take all the techniques that we learned in traditional upholstery and then apply them in a modern way. So what I obsess about, other than flame retardants, is, which admittedly is quite a lot, is using natural fibres, but in a manner that is capable of mass manufacture, rather than using them in a traditional manner, which is beautiful, but takes an awful lot of skill, an awful lot of time. And
not many people can afford that.
Exactly. So I would like to persuade more furniture manufacturers to adopt the use of natural fibres, and I think that is possible.
But do you think it's possible with because natural latex, etc., is so much more expensive? Do you see the prices of that coming down in the future?
Prices of nothing's coming down.
No, but do you see, because there's more demand, so there's more, competition for it? I guess that's what I'm saying. Because
I think there's very little competition for these natural fibres at the moment. I think we've got sort of almost 2 suppliers of graphite latex.
Yeah.
But it might be that we no longer need graphite latex. We might just need latex, and then find a way of that
Importing.
passing as a composite. And then we're buying the same product that they're buying in Europe. And so maybe then we might see more competition in the marketplace for latex. But there's also a limit on the number of rubber trees out there. So you have to take that into account. I'd like to see more sheet materials coming from hemp, from flax, more innovation in the marketplace of natural fibres, because I think we could look at a fibre that's local, that's available, that's not currently being used, and find a way of making that into sheet materials.
For instance,
mountain wool that
of
is
particular
not
type of sheep.
Mountain wool is one of the grades of wool that is used less, for example, in jumpers and things like that, because it's slightly coarser. And I like to see fibres being blended so that you get the qualities of one fibre and you mix it with another that fills in the quality missing in the first. So, for example, wool is really good at being fire retardant, not so great with its bounce. And then coir is a little bit flammable, but then again, it's not going to give off nasty fumes. And you mix it with wool and it gives bounce. And if you can create these in a sheet material form, then they can be really, I just think there could be a lot more innovation and competition, I have to say.
Have you spoken with Chris from NCAV? Because I think you should have a conversation with him.
Quite a few times.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
Yes. Poor Chris.
Yeah, but, just with your ideas and
I went up there a few months ago, actually, and it's absolutely fantastic seeing how he creates.
Yeah, the NCAV supplied a lot of the materials. In fact, the majority of the materials that we used for the 2 chairs for the Furniture Components show, the podcast chairs.
It's true.
Shouts out to the NCAV.
I was just thinking though, how does that work? Do they have designers come in and come into their manufacturing sites and they start blending things? How do people come up with these new, you were showing us earlier.
Yeah.
I know you do.
So I blend it on a carding machine.
You got a carding machine?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So I blend different fibres.
You got a carding machine?
Yeah. I love doing this. So I worked with an amazing lady from Australia who runs the biggest upholstery school in Australia.
We met her, yeah.
And she came over and said, I really need to be able to work with what we can get in Australia.
Yeah.
And so we looked at what fibres were locally available to her and then how we could work with them to create solutions for her students that were petrochemical free.
Oh, amazing.
And she's gone back and she's now teaching what we spent 3 days creating.
Amazing.
And I went down to Cornwall to work with Polyander Studios with Polly there, and we worked with her students as to what they could create and what would pass fire testing, and that there are solutions out there. You just have to look at each of the individual challenges. You want bounce, you want comfort, you want soft feeling,
resilience,
and then you mix to create that.
Yeah,
and then you got to figure out how to. Chris at NCAV, he's fixing his sheet material with a latex bind. And then you look at H. Dawson and they're fixing with a needling bind. And then I did lots of innovation with Rootful, who she's Zena, an amazing creator. She grows root systems from grass seeds. So we grew root systems through wool to create sheet material. And if any farmer is to listen and wishes to take that idea forward, we got to a working prototype with a chair that is super comfy and that works.
Wow.
But
I had no idea about this.
This
is amazing. So
the binder is often the problem because many people use polyester as the binder. But as soon as they do that, they're intermixing a biological and a technical fibre, and that means that you can't then, it's not biodegradable. And ideally you want to separate them. Separate them so each can go through their own recycling. So we were focusing on the, and it was the most fascinating process, but I think we're at a stage where we want someone else to go, this is this is fascinating. I'd like to take it forward for you.
See, this is the innovation. This is what I'm talking about. This is the innovation.
Yeah. And we need more innovation
Yeah.
in the fillings market in upholstery.
Yeah.
And most of the fillings are imported into the UK?
The wool's not. There's lots of British wool,
there's British wool.
that's made
The
into
head
needle
wool, I'm wearing
products. Coir is imported. That's Sri
Yeah.
Lanka mostly. Horsehair is coming in from China.
Yeah.
But there's also German horsehair. Flax is grown a little bit, mostly in Belgium, but it's really expensive.
Hessian is what?
Hessian's
India.
jute. It's
Yeah, but-
90% jute,
Where was it
10%
from?
oil.
Is it, yeah, but
India, I don't know.
India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about forming partnerships with suppliers around the world.
I think it's encouraging asking our suppliers for what we want and letting them go out there and look for it. You know, there is the demand. You know, I was called by one of the upholstery suppliers yesterday going, where do I buy this? Ever since your article, people are calling up asking for natural fibres. I don't know what to offer them. So there is a demand. We want this.
Yeah.
We would like to work with healthy materials.
Yeah.
I 100% agree, but there is also the reality that there are the others. There are other people out there who have polyester-based fabrics. They actually exist. They're not disappearing overnight.
No, not at all.
So
I know that it's technically possible to create foam that will pass the cigarette test without the addition of chemical flame retardants.
and it's technically you're suggesting or implying I'm getting this that it's technically possible to create polyester-based fabrics.
Yes.
Without
pass the cigarette test.
that pass the cigarette test simply by the nature of their construction. The weave
Yes.
is much denser.
Not necessarily. Many will pass just as they are, and for some, the weave might need to change. But in America, when the law changed and they got rid of the Bunsen burner test, 90% of their fabrics did not need to be changed.
This is huge.
Yeah.
It is huge. So I know that there's a real fear and nervousness
And
whenever
kickback
change
from big
and
business
kickback
as well.
and quite aggressive kickback at me, I have to say. And you know, some people have
How are you handling all of this? 'Cause have you got? I mean, I didn't notice any like bouncers or security guards.
at the door.
Security guards.
There's
it's
a
okay.
dog,
You can
there's
let
a
these.
dog.
You can let these two in now.
I think a therapist at the door would have a field day. So there has been kickback, but I think when the reality sets in and when the challenges are seen as challenges and definite and happening and we have to adapt, we'll find that our polyester is sold as polyester with its cigarette test. We'll find our foam is sold as foam without the chemicals, with its cigarette test.
Without the FR chemicals.
Without the FR chemicals. And our furniture manufacturers will have to face the challenge of imports from abroad. But we are now in a position where we've got trading standards have regulated, restricted, banned very few imports. We have huge quantities of non-compliant imports. That's furniture coming in that does not comply with the 1988 regs. That is happening now. That is being monitored.
As we're speaking, yeah.
As we're speaking, that is being monitored by some of the very biggest of our furniture and mattress manufacturers. It is happening already. What we hope will happen is this is a big decision for the government. I'm hoping that trading standards will now have a simplified set of fire regs, which they will find easier to regulate. And therefore, we might clamp down on what is already happening in our non-compliant imports. And therefore, the market position of the furniture manufacturers
in the UK.
Is might be slightly protected from that.
Yeah.
But it will
Coming
be a
at it
challenge.
from a different angle, basically.
Yeah. And it will be a challenge, but it's also an opportunity for them.
Yeah.
An opportunity to create new furniture which hasn't got chemical flame retardants, which the more the general public become aware of this, the more they will hopefully
Insist on
desire
it.
in time.
Yeah.
All I want to do is just produce beautiful quality furniture that meets the relevant fire regulations, but also is really healthy for you, and like you don't want to sit on something that off gases stuff that could damage your. I just want to create healthy furniture that's beautiful to look at.
Yeah, beautiful to look at and good for your indoor air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I have heard that, you know, that there's some nervousness amongst upholsterers as well. You know, what will this do to my business?
Yeah.
And what do I say to clients who are coming in now? And, you know, you can construct furniture now without the chemical flame retardants, but it has to comply with the law now. And then when the law is changed, it will be more simple to do that. And you will be able to use foam and you will be able to use polyester.
I mean, as an upholsterer, how have you found that personally for you dealing with your client base? I mean, they might come to you with I would love you to use this fabric, but it's got...
I won't use it.
You won't use it. You would just say to them, sorry.
Not for me. No. And none of them, well, there you go, I'm quite passionate, aren't I?
Yeah, well, you can't be in the position you're in without being. But,
no, you know. And I have used foam, as I said, about 3 times, and I've regretted it. You know, it makes me itchy, and my fingernails hurt, and my skin go itchy. I don't want to do it.
You've got staff as well.
I was going to say, you know, I think it's an interesting way of looking at it, you know, say hard no if you like, but sometimes we can't afford, as upholsterers, we can't actually afford to do that. We can't actually afford to turn away say, no, I'm sorry, it's using foam or it's using this fabric, I can't do it. But so I think there's 2 things going on there. Firstly, there's what you say to your client. I sometimes mention chemicals and things in foam, but most of my clients are coming with me, can I change the foam in this? Can you update the foam in that? So they're using the words foam as well. They're wanting the word foam. They're wanting the actual product foam. Yeah. So there's that side of things. And then there's the other side of then suggesting to them an alternative, but then the cost of that, the cost implication of it. Yeah. So I think that there needs to be some kind of conversation around that aspect of it, how we actually express it to our potential clients and customers,
or you just reset the tone of the conversation. Sorry to cut across you.
Yeah, well, you can. Yeah, I mean, you
now
can
I offer this. Now I do this.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that, like, I find a lot of clients are coming to you with a price point.
Yeah, they are.
Straight away, they're like, you know,
and they're comparing you against
they're always
to other
comparing
people.
You to someone else. So
definitely,
it's not always easy to just say.
And one of the really big problems, and this is a problem that affects the smaller furniture manufacturers as well as us, is the minimum orders for natural fibres are huge. So unless we're being stocked by our Livedales, our Martins, our Glovers, our suppliers, who fantastically have a van that arrives 1 day a week and allow us to buy sheet material.
Gotta love Martins. Shout out to Martins. But anyway.
We really need to be in conversation with our suppliers, because the minimum orders that I've had to sign up to get the materials I wanted to get
it's huge.
are huge. And that's not...
And even if you are like a director or directors of the AMUSF, getting, you know, hundreds of upholsterers to go in on a scheme that would...
Like a collective.
Like a collective, sustainable material scheme.
Almost like a sub-body to the actual
It's almost
supplier.
like it's almost like we need a sub-body to... We almost need to meet with... each of our suppliers to say, this is what we'd love to work with.
Yeah.
Can you go out and look for this?
It's not an inexhaustible list. There must be a list of,
please would you stock this for us?
Please.
And also, here's a heads up that all of the sheets that are currently stocked, which we understand you stock with the FR, we will be seeking those as the law changes. We'll be seeking those less. Yes. So don't mass order them now. Because, it's definitely a conversation. And I've been pulled 10 million times different directions in the last few months.
You must have been pulled apart by horses.
but those conversations do need to be had to help
How
our...
are you handling the fame? How are you handling the
Well,
I
I like the Good Morning Britain makeup.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I want to try that actually.
That was a big treat. Yeah, although quite scary.
Do you realise though, as time goes on, you're going to be probably doing a lot more media?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
You never know with it. I hope that some stories just go for a week and then they've disappeared, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is something that's been building up for years.
I
and
feel
years.
like The Guardian have been writing about and Private Eye. I mean, a shout out to George Monbiot and to Gareth Simpkins, who both, one for Private Eye and one for The Guardian, have been writing about this issue for years and years even before I became even aware of it. But now, just in the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 articles in the Sunday Times, Daily Mail, Telegraph, Best Magazine, Times Radio, a podcast.
Yeah.
I've missed something, haven't I? The Independent.
Independent.
So I'm hoping it will build an awareness.
Sit on this.
Hey, it's a massive roll you're hugging.
This fresh Hessian just arrived from Martin's Upholstery Supplies, and yes, I'm emotionally attacked.
Well, that explains the grin. You do love a bit of 12 ounce.
Hey, don't knock it. It's the unsung hero. Holds my springs in place, neatens up my work, and smells like proper upholstery. I love the smell of 12 ounce in the morning.
Yeah, I actually ordered from Martin's last week. Foam, webbing, a few finishing bits. It all turned up in 2 days. No faff.
That's what I love. Whether you need a tin of glue or 10 metres of calico, it's all there, and it's all brilliant quality.
It's definitely my go-to for top-ups, especially when I realise I've run out of something mid-project.
Yeah, which is about every week.
Exactly. Martin saved me from full-blown panic attacks more times than I'd like to admit.
If you're setting up a workshop or just need the basics, Martin's has the lot. And as a special treat for our listeners, they're offering 5% discount on all foam and upholstery sundry orders. Just check the link in the show notes below and use the code SITONTHISMartins5 for your discount.
Martin's Upholstery Supplies. Solid, speedy, and always got your back.
Sit on that.
Wow. Well, thanks so much for today, Delyth. I mean, I've learned a lot. Just talking at the FR, I knew the basics, but actually speaking to you and also comparing it to having spoken with manufacturers as well and trying to get like a kind of bigger overview of what's actually going on. I've found it really fascinating. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Delyth, you've been absolutely amazing. I think this is a conversation hopefully we won't have to have too many times again in the future. Not that I don't want to have a chat with you, but you know what I mean? Like this whole subject, if things go well, if
enough people say yes,
and if the government, actually do shift, then this could be one of the last conversations we have about this issue.
Let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, you've been listening to and watching the wonderful Delyth Fetherston-Dilke, the lovely Vicky Grubb, and myself. We hope you've liked today's podcast. If you do, please like and subscribe. It means the world to us. Like if you show us some support, even just a little like or follow, it all helps us. And the bigger we get, the better the guests get, as you can see. So, thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next one.
Sit on this.